Welcome to another edition of Maythorn Monthly.
Hi, I'm Carly. I'm an AI avatar created entirely by artificial intelligence. Brian is currently looking into hiring a co-presenter from the AI world. He has called on me to help him in his research.
Today I'm going to visit Christmas markets in Manchester, and I'm going on a train from Liverpool Lime Street. Unlike Euston with its modern colour displays, this is the old traditional display of departure board, but they do have a Christmas tree on the concourse. The departures display at Manchester Piccadilly is quite interesting. It's the old type technology, but it's slightly curved and it faces 3 different ways. That's another good way of stopping congestion in the centre of the concourse. Manchester have published a very useful map which shows where all the Christmas markets and lights are, and we're going to use that to visit 2 of the sites, first being the Winter Gardens. As we come here in the daytime, I stress that we're not here to see illuminations. You wouldn't see much of those. We are here to look at the market stalls. And I have to point out that it's most unusual for Manchester to have a clear sunny day. It has a reputation for raining a lot. I don't come to Manchester very often, so I was having to get used to the fact that there are tram lines on nearly every street. People just walk across the tram lines without taking much care, and the trams thankfully move very slowly and are good at blowing their horns. Now, I could have stayed in Liverpool to see Christmas markets, but for some reason they don't open that early, so it was easier to get the train over to Manchester and see some of theirs. But when I got back in the evening, it was a chance to look round St George's Hall area and see if the Christmas markets were as good as they've been in previous years. Many of the stalls were the same as last year, but the thing that I noticed this year was how many stalls were actually giving away cuddly toys. There seems to be a huge number of people offering cuddly puppies and various other animals, and you didn't really have to be that clever to win one. I'm not quite sure why they're having this clear out of cuddly toys, but there it is in Liverpool if you want one. From Liverpool, it's a 40-minute ride on the Merseyrail system up to Southport, so I thought we might as well go and have a look at Lord Street. It's got to the point where if you've seen one street decoration, you've seen them all, but the Atkinson Theatre was something different, so let's have a look at that. The only way to see the full extent of this giant cone was to film it from across the road or from the side. But I could see that people were walking through the middle and I wanted to go at that, so I did. I walked into the cone and the lights went out. So that was Southport, and I think this roundabout is a star attraction, if you see what I mean. Anyway, let's go back to Manchester, because I then did move on to one of the other places where the markets were on, down by the cathedral. There were a queue of people that seemed to be going up into Porky Pig, and perhaps Yorkshire pudding wraps are the thing this year. Maybe I should try one. It's nice to see that not all these stalls are about food, and there are some craftsmen still turning up for these things, and also some nice historic buildings to look at around Manchester. There are a few things about our Christmas celebrations that get more like the Americans every year. I just hope we don't start calling this time of year the holidays. I found that really annoying. I take my holidays in the summer. Here's one that every American Christmas film tends to have, an ice rink. Yes, they've got one of those in Cathedral Gardens. So now we're going to have a look down some of the streets to see what people have been doing with their houses. This is one in Oxton, Birkenhead, and as you can see behind me, well, I don't know if you can see me.
Yeah, right.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, just looking for everyone from the house. Come on, come on, you.
Everybody's coming down to look at these lights, and as you can tell, even their dogs. You may not be able to see me that well because the only lights are the Christmas lights coming from the houses, but we're going to take a walk down this street and then we're going to go and look for some more. So we'll end up this particular Christmassy feature with people's lights in their houses. Unusually for me, I've taken to the indoors this time, and I'm in the flat at Arrow Park. Out the window here you can see the hospital. Well, I can, don't know if you can. It's a reasonable day today, but a couple of days ago I was over there with the camera getting some medicine from the pharmacy, and it was a really nice sunny day. Now the thing about being here, I can see it now, is there are buses going through that area right in front of us all the time. Another one just coming through the lights now. It's a 472 going to Haswell, and so it goes on. There are buses all the time, so any one time when you're over there waiting for a bus, there will be 2 or 3 at least, sometimes 4 or 5, although if it gets that many, they don't know where to put them all. Anyway, you can see here for yourself what it was like that day, and also how we're full of trees everywhere. Now they say some of the healthiest areas in the country, where you have fewer health problems generally, are where there are lots of trees. Well, we've got lots of trees all around us here, so we're pleased about that. Let's turn now to Birkenhead, because Birkenhead is local biggest town, and it's undergoing a lot of redevelopment. It's a bit of a mess at the moment, to be fair, but there's a company called the Wirral Growth Company who are trying to do something about it. And I took these pictures of the office quarter. They're creating a new central business district, what we found out when we were in Australia, that is generally called the CBD. Most people know what that means, apparently. I didn't. I thought it was some kind of cannabis oil. The two buildings that we're showing here are significant. They're the names of two people who climbed Everest in 1924. So next year, it'll be 100 years since they had that trip up Everest. The council themselves intend to move into part of these buildings, and the other part, if you're interested in taking space there, you'll find them on Rightmove, and for about 36,000 a year you can rent yourself an office space in Birkenhead. Now, the council obviously are living somewhere else at the moment with their various enterprises, and that building is called the Cheshire Lines building. Well, I don't know if you can guess, but that has a railway history. That's another story we can look into another time. But in 2024, the council will be moving all the stuff that's in the Cheshire Lines building into these new buildings in the CBD. And the area that the buildings are in is called Alice Kerr Square. Alice Kerr, look her up, she's now got a square named after her, with the two buildings sitting there named after the two climbers of Everest. Now, let's move on. I told you once before, a friend of mine in Derby gave me one of these Pocket 2 cameras. Today I'm using my original one and the one he gave me. Two cameras working, such luxury. And of course you'll have noticed that I'm in my own home. I had a recent trip down to Derby again to pick up a few more accessories that Bob had found, and I shall be using those and trying to sort everything out in due course. I now have lots of little accessories, wires, cables, adapters, you name it, and I'm trying to sort them into little compartments so I can find them easily. The visit to the Tutbury and Hatton station was another train ride for me, you know I like that, and from there Bob took me to lunch at a shack, basically. Really was a shack. This is some pictures as we were just leaving, having had a great homemade lunch, homemade pies, great. And this is called the Quirky Shack. Details are on the sign, you can see through Bob's window there. One of the things that Bob gave me while I was down there was a little movie light. I don't think this comes with the DJI kit, but it nevertheless is a very bright LED. I'm going to show you that, but I'm not going to shine it at the camera because it would probably totally overexpose it. I'm going to shine it at this wall. Somewhere on here there's a button, and there we are. It dazzles me looking at me. It's a white LED, it's very bright indeed, and it lights up the whole room. However, that's useful if you're just supposed to turn off when you press that. Oh, it's flashing. It's obviously got different modes and now I can't see a thing. A light like this is going to be useful if you just go and interview someone in the dark and you want their face to show up. And a week ago I was filming in Oxton and you couldn't see me at all. Maybe if I'd have given Ruth this light, you'd have managed to see me, or just have me blank out extremely white. What you really need for effective lighting for, you know, going out on the street and doing a quick movie is a light that's a little more controllable. Now, I'm sure I have one. Oh yes, I have one somewhere. Now this, it's got batteries in the back. It goes on a standard stand if you want to use it on a tripod. It's full of LEDs and it's got a dimmer on the side. So if I just use this one and gradually fade up the level of that, the batteries are nearly flat, so if I just dim it down, and I can show it to you, that's what it's like. If I turn it up a bit it might end up being too bright. Yeah. So obviously that's useful. Stick it on a stand and then I've got the camera in my hand. Well, you don't have to go down to the Derby area to see something quirky. In Hoylake on the Wirral, we've got a quirky cafe, and over the other side of the Mersey in Liverpool, they've got a whole quirky quarter. So this is the only place at the moment I got to film in our flat at Arrow Park. We put up some wallpaper last year, which you've already seen, and it makes me look as though I'm in a forest, sort of. I wonder if it looks any better with some light. No, maybe not. The construction of a studio in an empty building has always been an exciting prospect to me. I wonder if you've seen the new BBC News studio. I believe they built it in the basement of the new broadcasting house,
And it's a huge area with lots of bits of screens and architecture dotted around, reminding me of when they showed you the new Doctor Who TARDIS. In fact, maybe the same people that built the new TARDIS for the BBC series as built the new studio. Anyway, I'm not going to be building anything like that in this flat, but I do have some ideas to create facilities for me here, which I'll show you in the months to come. Back in Birkenhead, and the Birkenhead market we've shown you before is in a state of disrepair and it's virtually empty these days. I was most disappointed to find that out when I got back to the Wirral a couple of years ago. The new Birkenhead market, which is being planned, is going to go in this building, a former department store, the House of Fraser, which has been closed for years. The earliest date I've heard for this is 2025, and it will be right on the edge of the precinct here, Grange Precinct in Birkenhead, where the current market is the building with the sloping roof ahead of us there, which is now virtually dead, as I said. Back in October, I was down on a piece of land which lays between the M53 and the Wrexham to Bidston railway line. I was there for about an hour that day, hoping to see a train going along the embankment. I thought that would have made a good video, but one didn't come. So, surprise, surprise, when you're least expecting it, I was taking a bus from Arrow Park into Birkenhead. Bus goes along Woodchurch Road, past Asda, over the motorway. We're heading down towards the low bridge where the line goes over the road, and what did I see out of the corner of my eye up there on the left? Yes, it was one of the Wrexham to Bidston trains, a Class 230. Bells is a place on the Liverpool to West Kirby train line, and if you walk a little bit up the road from the station, you'll see a phone box. There's a little handset on the map which shows where it is, and this phone box is famous. People come from all over the world to visit this and pay homage to OMD. Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark are a Wirral band, and in the early days, this was their unofficial office. The song is a little more specific about which phone box because they sing out the phone number of it. This song also serves as a reminder that back in the 80s there weren't really any mobile phones about except for the wealthy, and so this was it. And the band used to meet round this phone box and talk to their manager. Some of the phone boxes you can see in the background in the video are not this actual phone box, they're a different style. But near the end you see the actual phone box and you know it is this one because it closes in on the number on the dial. When I was looking through the videos of their hit singles, I didn't see any widescreen videos, and of course that's the standard we all watch TV with now. Roll forward to 2023, and a few months ago they released a new album, and this time they've gone beyond our TV widescreen to the cinema widescreen format of 21:9.
Anthropocene. The current geological
Anyway, that brings OMD up to date. Their latest album came out a few months ago, and the video looks ahead to see what the world population's going to be in the future.
0.
Such a cheerful fellow.
Pour me another cup of coffee.
We last visited Vale Park about a month ago, but we've come back to see what the man who works with driftwood has created for Christmas this year. Also, Becky is over from Australia and she hasn't been here for 4 or 5 years, so let's have a look round with Becky.
Up on the housetop, reindeer paws, out jumps good old Santa Claus, down through the chimney with lots of toys, all for the little ones' Christmas joys. Ho, 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 who would it go? Ho, 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 who would it go? Up on the housetop, click, 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 down through the chimney with good Saint Nick.
And now we're moving down to Chester to say Yo Saturnalia. Well, Saturn is the god of farming and the harvest, apparently, and Saturnalia is the predecessor of Christmas. So you're obviously going back 2,000 years. It's an ancient Roman festival of what looks like to me a lot of revelry, indulgence and debauchery. Sounds fun.
We went down to the Town Hall Square about 7 p.m. to watch the Winter Watch, and on this evening the Roman diva Victrix 20th Legion take back control of their city as Chester Roman tours take over to celebrate Saturnalia. As an added attraction, the annual Christmas markets are also here, so plenty of entertainment, food and drink, and some nice Christmas lights too. Or should that be Saturnalia lights, or Saturnalia lights, because I can hear the crowd shouting, "Yo, Saturnalia!" Well, some of my friends would think of me as a techie nerd, although I'm quite low down the scale compared with some of my techie friends. But I am into home automation. Now, I'm sitting here in our living room and I have got automated control of all the lights. We normally bring them on a timetable at night. There's a schedule built into the hub. Hub is usually a little box like that. I have to say, if you're serious about it, don't use the Wi-Fi. It's not that reliable. You may have noticed that in your own home anyway. These hubs use different protocols. They don't use the actual Wi-Fi frequencies, and they communicate by protocols that are called things like Zigbee and Z-Wave, and there's a new one that everybody's supposed to be joining called Matter. But they obviously think it doesn't matter because there haven't been much movement on that front at the moment. This hub is Home Assistant hub. It's very difficult to configure. You don't want to use one of these. Some of them are much easier, and I'm going to be talking about those in the next few months, including the one that I use, which has got this dashboard up on an ordinary TV. Now, most of the home automation systems, the one I've had here for the last 2 years has been Samsung SmartThings. They need a phone, and you get a very limited view of what's going on, and ideally you use a bigger screen for that. If you're happy with the phone, there's a whole range of hubs that you can use, but Things like Samsung and other ones that I've used previously, they work in the cloud. So everything they do relies on a cloud connection. The problem with that is privacy. The people like Samsung are collecting loads and loads of data from all your devices, and also people in the outside world on the internet can hack into your devices. So if you're interested enough and in that side of it and you worry about it, get a hub that works locally in your own home and doesn't have any connection with the outside world. It is possible, and the only disadvantage of that is as soon as you leave home, you can't control your home and your lights and all that. Home automation, of course, started decades ago when we had plug-in, quite bulky 13-amp sockets. They work with a little hand controller with buttons on it, and often they were infrared. Sometimes they used a radio frequency, but you couldn't program them and you couldn't do anything exciting with them. So that's why we've moved on from those. And now you'll have gone into people's homes, and I haven't actually changed the light switches in my home yet for reasons that will become clear later. But now you're starting to see touch switches appearing instead of your normal light switches. There are two problems with this particular type of switch. The first is that's only the front panel. Let me find you the bit that goes, oh here it is, the bit that goes behind it. That front panel sits on there. It needs a back box of about 40 millimeters. Now most of your light switches may be in 25, 30 millimeter boxes. That will not go into the box. Secondly, it needs a neutral connection, and you generally don't have one in a light switch. All you've got on your light switch on your wall in your average UK home is two wires. There they are. That one carries the mains. That one's connected to the bulb. When you press the switch, ding, the power goes to the bulb. You need the other line, the neutral line, which is kept in the ceiling for safety, but you need it to work the electronics in these touch switches. Now the other thing is I'm sitting here in the dark because the automation that I've got for our home, I haven't actually extended it to any video lighting. I could do, and I don't know why I haven't. I just haven't, because mainly I like to film outside. But here we are at home again, because out there it's very cold and windy. And I've got the panel I've just been setting up for a hub from Sonoff. Sonoff are my new favourite, and this is called, well, the hub I will show you another time, but it's called iHost. This is the control panel for it. Now I'm going to try and put the normal lighting on we use in our home in, see if it makes any difference. And because this isn't a touchscreen, I'm going to control it with the mouse. I'm going to put the Christmas tree on. That's the first thing. Ideal. So that isn't really going to light me up much, but it's very pretty. I've got lighting behind the desk that lights up the wall. That's called a rope light, and it goes along there. That's not going to light me up either. What else have I got? I've got a backlight behind the TV. That kind of throws light up to the ceiling. Looks good as a sort of background when you're watching TV. But no, we've got mood lighting. And the brightest lights I've got are actually down there, and they're uplighters and they're floor lamps. They may or may not give me extra light. Let's turn, that's the nearest one to me. I've turned that on. That's probably, there's one on the far side as well. That hasn't really helped. I need lighting coming across from over there. And for those of you who do video will know, I need two lights really, but that's another topic altogether. So that's the home automation technology, one of the subjects that I'll be covering in the world of technology in 2024. We're going to rise up no, not you. I don't know if you remember this from last year. I bought a standing desk. If I stand up now, my head will go out of camera shot, which could be a good thing. We've got one more subject to talk about this month, and we'll save the rest for later. The other subject is AI, artificial intelligence. How do you know that I'm not artificial intelligence talking to you now? Mainly because if AI was running this video, it would have lit the place properly, because it can. And I have to actually physically put lights around to make that work. So AI looks better than the real thing very often, but it'll never be me, really, I hope.
My name is Brian Smart, and I am here to discuss all things technical.
You're going to see more and more AI on your TVs and on your computers and on your phones, because big companies are developing it. The huge amount of computer power needed to mine Bitcoin, for instance, they really are extremely high-spec computers. way ahead of what you might use for gaming, but they're also good for AI. AI needs so much computing power and still comes nowhere near the human brain's capacity for computing power, but it's getting there, and there's going to be huge buildings full of computers just to keep AI going. There's a new news channel in the States. It's totally AI. It has presenters that are AI. It automatically picks up news from the news services. It edits the clips it needs to tell its stories. It's amazing what can be done, and it's a bit of a showcase, and I think I'm going to end this techie feature by showing you a bit of that in action.
Thank you for watching.
Today we're going to show off some of the technology we're using to build Channel 1. We'll show you how AI powers and empowers our newsroom to deliver journalism that's fast, trustworthy, and accurate. Let's start with our reporters. You can hear us and see our lips moving, but no one was recorded saying what we're all saying. I'm powered by sophisticated systems behind the scenes, and I can speak in any language. Για παράδειγμα, αυτή τη στιγμή μιλάω στα ελληνικά. O kung pinapanood mo ako mula sa Maynila, marunong akong magsalita ng Filipino. எனக்கும் தமிழ் பேசத் தெரியும் என்று நீங்கள் யூகித்திருக்க மாட்டீர்கள் என்று நான் நம்புகிறேன். In fact, you can see even more language samples on our website. Channel 1's anchors can even be completely generated to have their own personality, appearance, and voice. Nominations for the 2024 Grammy Awards are out, with Taylor Swift, Luke Combs, and SZA among the artists picking up major nods. The nominees were announced via live stream featuring a group of previous Grammy winners, including Kim Petras, Jon Bon Jovi, and Weird Al Yankovic.
In business news, car companies continue to battle for the future of vehicles, and the fight goes well beyond the current push for electrification, with automakers vying for attention with increasingly futuristic designs. BMW has shown off an SUV with a color-changing paint job. Chinese technology company XPeng has demonstrated a prototype flying car. But first to actually make it to market is Tesla's controversial Cybertruck, years after its bumpy announcement in 2019.
Oh my God. Well, maybe that was a little too hard.
But how does the public feel about the design? Well, Channel 1 has developed a unique new way to gauge sentiment, and it leverages our AI's ability to read and analyze data almost instantly. I quickly read the most recent 30,000 tweets posted to X about the Cybertruck, and based on the emojis people have been using, sentiment on the vehicle is indeed very mixed. Will Tesla revolutionize the truck market, or will the Cybertruck remain a niche player? Success could boost Tesla's flagging stock price, which is currently off nearly 50% from its pandemic highs, and recently dropped over 10% in a single trading day, following a Q3 earnings call that Wedbush's Dan Ives tweeted was a mini disaster. Stay synced with Channel 1 for ongoing business news and analysis.
This is Channel 1.
Tune in next month for more from Maythorn. Goodbye for now.